Inocente. Welcome back to my podcast. I hope you're doing well. I'm currently in my office. It is Friday, May 9th, and I wanted to come on and do a little April recap with what I've been up to, and then we'll dive into some market information for Santa Clarita and the Antelope Valley. But yeah, April was a good month. The weather got a little bit better, although I am dreading this coming up weekend because the weather is supposed to hit like 90, and I'm just not ready for that. But yeah, so I guess I'll start off with some books I read since I've been such a big reader lately, thanks to my Kindle and book club. So one of the books I read was The Women by Kristen Hanna. Which was actually a really good book. I think that it was so good. It could really, I feel like, be made into a movie. But it was a slower read for me. But it's basically about a young girl who becomes a Vietnam combat nurse. And so it talks about her experience in Vietnam and then her experience coming back and transitioning like back into civilian life and things like that. It's in like the historical fiction category. It was really, really good. I really liked it. It took me a little bit longer to read, I will say, than other books. But yeah, I would recommend it. Super good. The other book I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover, which has been recommended to me so many times by different people telling me how good it is. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. It was a little disappointing, I will be honest. The book is basically about a author who is like doesn't write super popular books, I guess you would say, but she gets this deal to take over writing this woman Verity's books that are very, very popular, very, very popular. Verity has some medical issues or whatever. I don't want to give it too much away, but she can't complete her books, so she is recruited. And she ends up living in Verity's house, and there's just like a lot of suspense and like weird stuff. I don't know. There are a lot of parts that felt like cheesy to me. And yeah, I don't know. I felt disappointed by it. But if you read it and you like it, I guess you can let me know. The last one I read, which I took it off of my Goodreads profile because I will admit I'm highly embarrassed. But it was suggested in book club, and in the spirit of book club, I read the book. It's called Pen Pal by, I don't even care who the author is because it was just such a terrible, terrible book. But I will say I hosted our book club meeting last weekend, and it was so much fun because it was so ridiculous that I am fully willing to read any book now for book club just because it made for such a good time. All of us were laughing. Like I was laughing, like tears are coming out of my eyes. Like it was so much fun. Everyone got to my house around 5. I think everyone was gone by 10:30. I mean, it was so much fun. So yeah, I read that. Don't recommend it. If you look it up, you'll see the cover and I don't know, you'll either want it or not. It wasn't for me. Besides that, I celebrated my birthday on April 18th. I turned 37, which is very strange to be approaching 40 so soon. I feel like time has gone by so fast. And if you're my age, I don't know if your algorithm is all about perimenopause, but mine currently is. And it's just, I don't know. We're just getting old, or I'm getting old, I guess. But it was a fun birthday. My friends and family came over. I felt very spoiled. We got pizza from Toppers. So if you're like in Santa Clarita, that's like my favorite pizza place, I would say. I know Vincenzo's is super popular, but Toppers is so good. And we got they had we usually get the hot honey pizza, which I really like, but we also got I think it's like the carnitas one. That was so good too. I think it might be better than the hot honey, but it was super fun. all their kids came over and played. They sang me happy birthday, which was super cute. And then we sat in my backyard and turned the fire pit on and just, giggled and stuff. And it was fun. Also, for my birthday, I treated myself to a lash lift. So they I went to Style and Brows in Canyon Country off Soledad. It's like right by the movie theater. I can't think of the cross street right there, but it's right on Soledad. And it's right by Oggis, Oggis. But they curl your lashes with perming solution. So instead of getting the lash extensions, because to me that's just too much for my face and too much upkeep, they curl it with perming solution, and then she dyed them. And I really like it. I went to another place in Valencia, and they actually fried my eyelashes I don't know how many years ago. And so I've been very nervous to go again, but I just was like, I'm going to go do it. The woman who owns Style and Brows, she was really nice. She did a really good job. I really liked her. I'll link her. She has an Instagram account. I'll link that in there. But I like it because you don't have to do anything when they go down. They just, after I think it's 5-ish weeks, they just go back down to how they are. And then you just I think you have to wait a little bit longer, but you just go back and get them done again. So it's low maintenance for me, which if you know anything about me, you know that that's what I'm all about. So yeah, I really like that. And then we had Easter. So we hosted Easter. The weather was so nice outside. Ugh, it was so great. And so we did everything in the backyard, and it was so fun to have all of Evelyn, my daughter's cousins, Easter egg hunting and all that. It was a good time. It was a really good time. And then work-wise, I had some mini consults with some homeowners and a buyer. I'm just kind of getting information on the market and things like that. If you don't know about my mini consults, they're basically a 30-minute Zoom call. I can meet you for coffee if you want as well. But we just kind of discuss the market and get an idea of what you're, wanting to do. It's not a time where I'm going to have you sign a contract or anything like that. It's more of a meet and greet or discovery call, if you will. Free information. You can ask me anything. So I did some of those. And then I also listed a 5-acre lot in the Hasley Canyon area of Castaic if you're looking for a really awesome area to build a custom home. It's in Romero Canyon, which is a gated community. The address is 30700 Romero Canyon, and I'll link, I have a YouTube video of the property. It's really beautiful there, but I'll link that in the show notes as well if you want to check it out. And since I'm talking about real estate, just for whatever liability issues, my name is Kim Inocente. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of California. If you want information on my license number or my broker, which is JohnHart Real Estate, it's all in the show notes. So just check that out. And check out that listing that I said that I have. It's really pretty. So I did that. And then I also attended some classes from our MLS board. And learned a little bit more about AI staging and things like that for vacant properties, or, say I have a client that, there's this house I really feel is really good for them, but it's very cluttered. The pictures aren't great. We now have, which is so amazing, the technology where I can have all that removed. So we can kind of look beyond the homeowner stuff and see the potential, which I really enjoy. So I will say AI makes me nervous sometimes when I think about it. But that's such a cool thing. So there are, really interesting things that are happening. And then I did a call with the Department of Insurance. So if you have any insurance questions you want to ask me, I can either answer them for you or point you in the right direction. But, insurance is tough, obviously. Here in the state, I know there's a lot of work to try to fix it and all that. But it is what it is, I guess. And then, we'll talk about the April MLS stats for Santa Clarita and the Antelope Valley. So keep in mind, we MLSs, which I belong to two. There's an MLS board in the Antelope Valley called the Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtors. And then there's also the Southland Regional MLS, which is basically San Fernando Valley and Santa Clarita. Um, and so those reports of like what happened that month, they're released once the month has passed. So now we're going to look at April and see like exactly what happened. So Santa Clarita as a whole, um, single family residences, so just your regular home, the median sales price was $875,000. It's actually up 2% from last year. Condo sales were $625,000 for their median sale price, and that's up 4% from last year. So prices have still increased. We had 391 new listings come to market in April, so that's up 9% compared to April last year. So you had 800 listings come to the market in Santa Clarita, which is up 52% compared to last year. So like I was saying, I'm sure you've seen that there's just houses popping up what feels like all over the place for sale. But we have 173 pending sales from April, so that didn't close yet. That was down, that didn't close in April, excuse me. That's down 38% compared to last year. We had 228 closed sales in April. That's down 5% compared to last year. So as you can see, more homes are coming to market. We're having less sales because we have more inventory, which isn't a bad thing. Buyers, honestly, I feel like buyers deserve a little bit of a break, so they have more to choose from right now. As you can see, prices have gone up. So it's not like I don't feel like it's affecting prices in this, hugely negative way. Keep in mind, I don't have a crystal ball. Only time will tell how this, plays out. But as of right now, it's a little bit slower. Our average days on market for April was 39. That's 8 days longer than April last year. What's interesting though is March. I was looking at March's numbers, and March homes had about an average of 50 days on market. So, the homes in April, it started to pick up a little bit, went down to 31 days. Our months of inventory. So months of inventory is basically in April, with all of the listings that we had active, which was 800, if nothing came to market, how long would it take to sell? And that's 3.5 months of inventory, which is leaning more towards like a balanced market. Last April, we had 2.2 months of inventory. So again, inventory has picked up. Days on market is a little bit longer than this time last year, although shorter than March. So yeah, that's kind of the story there. I do have it broken down if you want like more detailed for like Canyon Country versus Valencia, Newhall, all that. I did break that down in more detail on my Instagram. So you can go to my Instagram at Hi Kim Inocente. I'll link it in the show notes if you want like to know where if you live in Canyon Country or whatever, how your area is doing standalone. Because, obviously the more we break it down, the more details there are. Just go to my Instagram account and check it out. So then we'll transition to the Antelope Valley because I do work in both places. So if you don't know this about me, I was born in Lancaster, grew up in Palmdale, also lived in Lancaster before we moved here to Santa Clarita. And so because of that, I've lived in Santa Clarita since 2017, I want to say. Yeah. And I've been coming out here, since high school. But because of that, I know so many people in both communities. So I work both valleys. And so I like to cover both valleys. So if you are an Antelope Valley resident, this is going to be particularly interesting for you. So Palmdale, median sale price was $520,000 for the month of April. That is up about 1.96%, so almost 2% compared to last April. Days on market was 60 days, so longer than Santa Clarita in April, but compared to last April, it was 49. So it is taking longer to sell. We had 123 new listings come to the market in Palmdale for April. Compared to last April, we had 130. So a little bit less. Active listings, we had 258 homes available for sale in April. And April 2024, 239. So we definitely had more homes on the market. And then sold pretty close, actually. 79 closings for single family in April and 76 for April 2024. So pretty close. Lancaster had a median sale price of 482.5 in April. That's up a little over 1.5% compared to a year ago. Average days on market was 65 days compared to 36 days in April of 2024. Lancaster had 165 new listings come to market. Last April, it was 170, so pretty close, I would say. In Lancaster, there were 349 active listings compared to 296 in April of last year. And then solds in April, Lancaster had 86 listings closed and 119 listings closed in April of 2024. So they definitely had more listings come to market, less closings. Yeah, so that's kind of the gist there. But, what is interesting is, buyers do overall have more options right now. Home prices seem to be, still holding pretty strong. The last stat for like nationwide kind of stuff, one of the last things I read was that the average homeowner in the United States has about $300,000 in equity, and about 38% of homeowners in the country have their homes paid off. So homeowners are in a really strong position. We'll see where this takes us of, all this new inventory coming to the market. But for buyers, it's definitely, nice to have more options. I don't think that this makes it a buyer's market. I think we're just kind of more in a balanced place, which is, I think, where we want to be, because, in, what was it, like 2021, I think Santa Clarita had, actually, let's look real fast. It won't take me long to check this out because was looking in April of 2021, right? When the market was so wacky, homes were flying off the shelves. We had 14 days on market in April 2021. So, it was just harder to get into a home. They were, listed and gone in 2 weeks. We only had we had a lot less listings. So I don't know. I think that, we had 0.9 months of inventory. It's better for buyers now, I would say, in that respect. So anyways, I guess I'll get going. If you want to check out more detailed information, like I said, check out my Instagram. I have posts. One for the Antelope Valley will go up next week that I have scheduled, so you can see that broken down. But for Santa Clarita, it's already up. Breaks it down, between, like I said, the different communities of Saugus, Newhall, Valencia, Stevenson Ranch, etc. And if you are looking to buy or sell, or you just want like some information and are interested in a mini consult, which I think goes without saying, they're completely free. It's just like a meet and greet. We can do it over Zoom, whatnot. I have a link to schedule that in the show notes. And I also have some free guides for buyers and sellers, as well as a local guide. So if you're like considering moving to Santa Clarita, or you just moved here, or you live here and you just want to see, some suggestions I have locally, those will all be in the show notes. And thank you so much for listening. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.